Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks, they're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? All right, so today's upload is going to connect to tomorrow's upload, which all of these connect to one that I did a couple of months ago. And the gentleman who reached out to me today told me he contacted my normal phone and said, can you turn on your other phone so I can talk to you? I call it a burner phone. I don't know how safe it is. I feel like it's a lot safer than my regular phone that I use. And what it is it's just a basic kind of throwaway phone that I, every couple of months, change the number and only put minutes on it. It's never been connected to Wi-Fi. It doesn't have any kind of internet. It's just, I guess, for lack of a better word, a burner phone. And like I said, I change the phone number periodically. I don't know. I know if the government wants to get into anything, they can. They're like little worms. But so I did, and I contacted his number that he has, not the one that he called me on, but a different number that he has. And he said, great, hang on. Put me on hold. Comes back. He's got a guy on the phone with him. Introduces me to him. His name is David. And we start talking about the experience in Chile. Now, Craig is the gentleman that had the experience in 2004 in Chile, Valley of the Moon, did mission work. That's where he met David. David then went on to do other mission work worldwide, and now is in the States. David was a Catholic priest. He received or had a laicization, which is you are not expelled from priesthood, but you are granted to be a layman. At one point, he was a Catholic priest, a Roman Catholic priest. And he spread the word of Jesus with Craig. Craig does mission work like Habitat for Humanity. He spreads the word of Jesus and helps impoverished communities in Chile and other countries to just better their way of life on top of hearing the word of God. So David had the laicization done because of things he started to discover throughout his travels worldwide. Things that he had seen, things that he didn't agree with on the Roman Catholic, in the Roman Catholic religion. And he said there was a lot of cover-ups and a lot of just, so he still believes that Jesus is his savior. He just doesn't want to be affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church anymore. He still does mission work and, like I said, is in the States. So we're talking about a couple of different experiences. He starts asking me about what I know about certain things, Nephilim, what I think about this. And he said, well, I've heard about 10 of your videos and I feel like you're on the right track, talking about how these aliens or the extraterrestrials are demons, that there are portals or just kind of doorways to wherever. Hell, no one knows, And he had actually heard me talking a lot about Dulce and different connections that I've made and theories that I have. So he said, I got a lot of information I'm going to share with you. He said, Craig, I'll talk to you later. Craig said goodbye to me, said goodbye to David, and it was just David and I. He said, today I'm going to share with you some information that throughout my priesthood, throughout different books that I have had access to, I'm going to share this with you, and then I will share my experience with you. The only time I have ever seen one of these creatures. He said, I had an opportunity to see a Dogman. I hope I never see one again. And it was more than one. It was 3 in one day. He said, I pray that I never see these things again. I feel like they are demonic. But the information that I have to share with you today is everything along the lines of these creatures that you call draconian or Draco, which would be the winged reptilian creatures, and the Nephilim, and a couple of other. He said I got a little bit of information on the Anunnaki as well. And he said, I'm going to send you a file, open it up, and we'll talk about it. He said, and you have my permission to share this with your audience. So let's get into this right now. Like I said, tomorrow's upload will be his experience that he had while on doing mission work. And it was stateside. It was actually in the state of Washington. The draconian threat. Are you afraid of reptiles? Almost everyone is afraid of some reptilian species. One may wonder why this is. Some people agree with this comment that, naturally, one doesn't feel comfortable based on their appearance. But is this really a justifiable reason? We tend to shrink from spiders, but not from flies. Spiders basically are no more frightening or uglier in appearance than a fly, or many other acceptable insects. Perhaps our fear of the reptile is connected to our past and to the alien entities that have controlled us for so long. Note the extent of which we use snakes as symbols. For example, the Medical Association logo consists of 2 coiled serpents, which we refer to as catasus. and the dragon of the royal emblem, namely the imperial court and the royal court of the dragon sovereignty. Not to mention the alignment of many ancient monuments with the constellation Draco dragon. Some additional positive examples of reptilian associations are that the Syrians use symbols to represent themselves, and that is why Noah received the information about the ark from a serpent. Kundalini energy at the base of the spine, described as coiled serpent ready to strike, and the spine rises into a serpent shape. Chakra alignment for enlightenment and activation of the 12-strand DNA. The Great Mayan calendar, based on a 13-20 ratio, snake fangs grow back every 20 days, and there are 13 scales on one side in a diamond pattern of interlocking squares of the snake skin. Ahul Ken. Calendar helps awaken the serpent and is an archetypal guide to transmutation, demonstrating that the future creates the present. As an additional point, the channeling has indicated that our blood would be green if we didn't use oxygen, but instead used nitrogen, as some extraterrestrials or demons do. Therefore, our skin would be greenish, similar to the color of reptilians. Once upon a time, about 1 million years ago, planet Earth was invaded by the draconian. Yes, this is true. You are right that they are related to dragons, and presumably that is the origin of the term dragon. More specifically, Atlantis was threatened by the draconian, and yes, there is no doubt that Atlantis was real, a large continent in the Atlantic Ocean. The draconian came from reptilian aliens from far away within a galaxy, and are now from higher dimensions, not within our frequency spectrum. The ancient original race consists of highly intelligent, benevolent beings who are now said to be in harmonic universe number 3. We are in the universe number 1. We can think of these universes as layers, that is, steps, but connected by portals, like black holes or wormholes. Now, as seems to be quite common among many races, a regressive strain developed within this civilization. Draconian is the name given to this deviant strain, which broke away from the dominant race of benevolent beings. Presumably the draconian were banished or simply left behind when the parent race ascended. This is not unusual. This group has caused the most damaging contamination of human DNA, surprisingly. Even Darwinism agrees with the reptilian origin theory, and scholars have recognized the similarities between the reptilian brain and the human brain. The R component reptilian complex in brain functions gives them dinosaur-like traits. The draconian, aggressive behavior, territorial-oriented, a need for social hierarchies. Kind of sounds like humans as well. Thus, the draconian are a reptilian race fragmented from the original civilization, endowed with negative character and evil purposes due to a blocked heart center and the inability to feel compassion for others. They are highly intelligent, with the upright physical appearance, a warlike and aggressive nature, and they came to inhabit the star system in the constellation of Orion. The ancient reptilians, in an attempt to bring some organization to this area of the galaxy, have dispersed across many systems and originally arrived on Earth 225 million years ago. We are approaching a complete life cycle of this period in which Earth's position is now in the same position in space it was in the galaxy of 225 million years ago. Therefore, this is beginning of a new stage in biological evolution. The name Draco has been used in literature for a planet in this Orion system, in addition to reference to the Draconian Alliance, and that these particular Orions wish to subject Earth under draconian rule. To continue, approximately 1 million years ago, the Draconian arrived on Earth from Orion. They were expert geneticists. Okay, so here we go. Now, this does not tell us anything. And David said, please listen to this and listen to me. This does not necessarily state that God did not create us. God created us. God created us in his likeness. Jesus is our Savior. Jesus will save us from our sins. Okay? What this pretty much, he said, timelines may be different. He said, but when books are written by humans, timelines get different. The information stays the same, just like what I said. God created us in his likeness. Jesus is our Savior. Those will never differ, but timelines may differ. And the fallen angels, and we call them fallen angels. Some people think that fallen angels fell from heaven, and that is not true. They were cast down by God to perform a task. When they came to Earth, they fell in love with man's daughter, the daughter of men, and took them as wives. Also fornicated with creatures to create other genetic creatures. They also did experimentation. In the Book of Giants, the Book of Enoch, they talk about that. To continue, approximately 1 million years ago, the Draconian arrived on Earth from Orion. They were expert geneticists and scientists, and they experimented with the human genetic code, creating hybrids. These hybrids were known as Dracos, a combination of human and draconian traits achieved by containing the human genetic code. Draconian, not Draco, Draconian, were the winged reptilian-like creatures. Now, some of the fallen angels were said to be seraphim, which some looked like reptilian creatures. Draconian consider Earth their birthright and have been manipulating this planet largely from hiding for nearly 500,000 years. Dracos are tall, standing around 7 feet with human-like bodies, but with reptilian scales and faces. In addition to their facial appearance, they also resemble the draconian in temperament. Furthermore, the general appearance is more lizard-like than dragon-like. The reptilian races are also called lizards. It may be interesting to mention that the draconian altered the DNA of the dinosaur at this time, which, according to extraterrestrial information, were the creation of other ET experiments about 350 or 375 million years ago. Now, this he put in this purposely. You should not be confused by orthodox historical periods. This entire type of information is based on context of a single human civilization on this planet. There were many. Time estimates can be confusing, particularly because space-time is fundamentally non-linear. Jesus is our Savior. God created us in his likeness. The result of these new experiments carried out by the draconian on the genetic code of these dinosaurs, in which their own genes were genetically spliced with traits of an aggressive nature, was the creation of carnivorous dinosaurs, for example, the Tyrannosaurus rex. These ferocious and fearsome monsters, known as draconian monitors, were used to subdue and control human population. Also, in satanic information, the Dracos possess genetic makeup known as a 666, a mutation imposed by the Elohim, advanced beings from higher dimensions of the universe, on some species to prevent interbreeding. The 666 refers to the deactivation of the higher 6 harmonic in strains 1, 5, and 6, and is 3 sixes. Now, draconian and Draco hybrids also created the goat sucker, and some may have heard about these in alien /UFO magazines and newspapers. Claims of dinosaur-like appearances, small human-sized creatures, also known as El Chupacabra. The genetic distortion of the human DNA created by the draconian threatened the continuum of human species. With the assistance of the Anunnaki from the Sirius A star system, plans were made to eliminate the draconian problem on Earth. Note, this is not the Anunnaki resistance, which is an ally of the draconian. They devised a method to use Earth's grid energy to destroy the draconian and Draco underground habitats. However, the plan failed, causing an explosion within the Earth's crust, causing climatic disturbances, earthquakes, minor pole shifts, flooding, destruction of land mass. The result in a period of global ice which lasted several thousand years, causing unhealthy climatic events. Many humans went underground, and the draconian either left or failed to survive. Humans eventually returned to the surface and struggled to rebuild their lives, but interbreeding with the draconian had contaminated their genetic lines. Several ET groups that came to Earth exploited these negative circumstances to conduct further genetic experiments. As a result of the distorted human project, these varieties of primitive human and also more ape-like forms were created. Therefore, on a basis, these particular species of primitive humans and ape arose from intelligent humans, not the other way around. In case of any confusion, one might wonder if the Draco and Draconian originated from the renowned astronomical constellation called Draco, not unless it's an incredible synchronicity. The star pattern of Draco system is actually a dragon, but these creatures' symbols and constellation images typically have no meaning. They are merely a method of identifying stars and act more as a nemechonic. It's spelled Mnemonic. Mnemonic. Now, humans were very vulnerable to being controlled. According to Voyager volumes, a civilization at the time consisted of Atlanteans, Lemurians, who, due to the initial contamination of the Draconian DNA, from which additional mutations were created. The races fragmented and began to war. Atlanteans began to ignore the law of one. At this point, meaning one God, they ignored the law of one God. Just like Romans, Greeks, and what happened to those civilizations. At this point, the Anunnaki, a reptilian race friendly to the Dracos, came to Earth bringing a creed that was distortion of the law of one. Anunnaki created teachings that would make humans appear godlike, thus promoting easier submission. Teachings were also designed to disempower women and inhibit their resistance to Anunnaki advances. So the Anunnaki created a human Anunnaki hybrid, whom they referred to as the Nephilim. So, Anunnaki, we've talked about this, other people have talked about this. Some say the Draco or Draconian, Draconian were these fallen angels. Some say the Anunnaki were. This text says the Anunnaki. Not the ones that helped human, but the Anunnaki, which was stated earlier, that were on the side of the Draco and Draconian. At this point, the Anunnaki, okay. Their teachings were also designed to disempower women and inhibit their resistance to Anunnaki advances. Okay. So the Anunnaki created a human Anunnaki hybrid they referred to as the Nephilim. Very interesting. Huh. The Nephilim / Anunnaki. This is where it gets deep. This is where it gets into Book of Giants, Book of Anak connections. And this is all information that he had access to as a Roman Catholic priest. I didn't ask where he got it. He just stated, this is information that I had access to. And you need to share this so people can hear it. Also, he kept saying, please always remind everyone that Jesus is our Savior. No matter what anyone says, and like he stated in that, where he, in the middle of all of this, states that timelines are not to be like, just because there are different timelines, they are non-linear. Which makes a lot of sense, because did God really create dinosaurs? Because at one time, 60, 70 years ago, a little longer, about 70 years ago, the Roman Catholic Church denied the existence of dinosaurs. Denied it completely. We know they existed. Did God create such a ferocious creature? Maybe. And that's what they say here. But not the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The carnivorous ones. The aggressive ones. I could see a God that we love and care about, and that loves us and cares about us, creating something similar to like a Brontosaurus or the platypus and stuff like that. Plant eaters. Similar to cows, goats, this and that. Interesting that they talk about the El Chupacabra, the goat sucker. The human-like reptilian, not the North American dog one. Nephilim, Anunnaki. Most extraterrestrial species have deviant branches, and the Anunnaki from Sirius mentioned above were no exception. The name of these advanced beings, Anunnaki, is presumably derived from their king or god Anu. The Anunnaki lineage apparently traces back to the Elohim, Elohim, who in turn are a digression of the Elohi, beings of higher dimensional universe who largely oversee and control the development of the human race. Now, this strain of spirituality deficient beings eventually inhabited the planet Nibiru. Zechariah Sitchin wrote about this planet in his books, as did other channeled sources. The planet Nibiru is apparently larger than Jupiter and, unexpectedly, is a member of our own solar system. It could be said to be the 12th planet if we accept that the planetoid Chinran has included in total, and also the asteroids between Mars and Jupiter, which are fragments left after a breakup of a planet Maldek, an early planet in our solar system. Astronomers have already confirmed the existence of a body called Nibiru, although there is still speculation as to whether it is a planet. However, there appears to be an agreement on its wide orbit, taking it towards the Pleiades system, about 400 light years away, in a period of 3,600 years to orbit the sun once. There is conflicting information regarding the orbital position of this planet at this time. It is likely 1,000 years distance from our sun. Other information indicates that it is close to entering the known outer orbit of our solar system, although other reports indicate that it is just some other body, a comet, etc. This planet links the sun to the Sirius system. Nibiru is the outermost planet of the Sirius A, but is now the outermost planet of our solar system. It was captured approximately 500,000 years ago, and now Nibiru connects the sun to the Sirius system. The planet is inhabited by Anunnaki, who will be a resistance group from Sirius A, and the Elohim mentioned above from higher frequencies. In addition to the name Anunnaki, the designation Nibirians is also used, and occasionally the name Nephilim. We will see a little bit later, Jeff, how Nephilim is the name given to human Anunnaki hybrid. Also, Nephilim are mentioned in the Bible as angels who interbred with the daughters of men. Let's stick to the most commonly used term, though, the Anunnaki. These resistant Anunnaki are on favorable terms with the draconian reptilians and share some common genetics. Thus, the Anunnaki are also of reptilian strain, but in addition, they are said to have a metallic biology. They apparently thrive on nuclear radiation and did introduce uranium to the planet Earth thousands of years ago. They think rather than feel, much as many humans do today. Thinking is a linear process, and combined with the lack of feeling will breed a race of predators. A race of predators, okay? So what are dogmen? What are crawlers? What are all these other creatures? The people on Earth have served them. They learned the science of alchemy on Sirius A from the Pleiadians, allowing them to manipulate base metals into precious metals. With this alchemy and their knowledge of subtle vibrations, they believe they could convert their metallic biology and become more flesh and blood while on Earth. The alchemy thing, just a connection to alchemy and the reptilians, which we talk about draconian, and to the Greys, both spotted in Dulce and other deep underground bases. And I hate using military bases. I hate saying deep underground military bases because these things were not in our military. These bases or these facilities were created long before humans. But back to alchemy. One of the most famous practitioners of alchemy, Aleister Crowley, had summoned a demon named Lem. And Lem looks very similar to a gray, would you say? Coincidence? I really don't think so. Notice the energetic relationship of Nibiru, which is a masculine, and Earth, which is feminine, and the not so surprising abuse of the Earth, the typical theme of masculine energy dominating over feminine energy. Due to the vast length of their orbit and the resulting variations in energy and climate, the Nibirians and Anunnaki also varied somewhat in their mental and physical outlook. Their orbit was made transversal. Preparations were made well before entering the solar system, particularly since their orbital motion is contrary to the other planets in our system. Thus, every 3,600 years, there is a potential for disruption of one kind or another as it enters the sun's proximity. The following disasters have been attributed to the effects of Nibiru entering our solar system. The disintegration of Maldek, now evident as an asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. So there was a planet at one point, and you can Google it and look it up. It is theory, but that asteroid belt, like they said, is between Jupiter and Mars. This relates to the realization that the fallen angels of Maldek failed to rehabilitate their spirituality, resuming in karmic destruction of the planet. The surface of Mars was destroyed by the disturbance caused by the passage of an enormous planet. Civilization at the time knew hundreds of years in advance that they would be a target of this rogue planet, and they will build underground bases. On other occasions, Jupiter was struck either by Nibiru or violently ripped away by turbulent fields, causing a large fragment of Jupiter, now known as Venus, to break off. Another example of the effects of Nibiru opposing orbital struggle in our solar system has been the creation of the year for planet Earth as 365 1.25 days from its previous period of 360, which occurred 104,000 years ago. There was, however, one example in which Nibiru's arrival in our solar system was beneficial. Sirius was closely related to the origins of our energy and planet. Sustenance for Earth is apparently received from Sirius. Sirius attached a central crystal from Nibiru to act as a vehicle to bring the crystal to Earth core, presumably on a non-physical level, for the transfer of the codes necessary for human evolution. However, this may have been from negative Sirian Anunnaki, and that this is a diode crystal placed at Stonehenge to block a main grid line and consequently prevent our DNA development. Anna Hayes talks about that in a few of her information. Let us return back to the habitation of Nibiru and Anunnaki, Jeff. A group of Anunnaki visited Earth from Sirius A. Interbreeding took place between Anunnaki males and human females. Their electromagnetic energies, however, were incompliable, resulting in mutilations, deformations. To digress for a moment here, we may mention that eventually these malformation entities were destroyed in the Great Flood. Or the Great Flood, there was more than one, except for one physical type. what we have discovered and named Neanderthal. Okay, so to digress for a moment here, we may mention that eventually these malformed entities were destroyed by the Great Flood, except for one physical type, what we have discovered and named Neanderthal man. Now, in Danny Van Germany's book, Them and Us, How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Humans, and that's that part of the title. I've said this title before, and people were like, Neanderthals didn't create humans, Jesus did. Yes, or not Jesus, God did. Yes, that's not what that sentence means. But in this book, scientific book, amazing book, if you haven't read it, I honestly suggest getting it. You can get the physical cover, or you can get it on Kindle for like $3.99. It is so beneficial. It has got so much information, so many connections. But how he describes Neanderthal is a hunched back, much, much stronger than a human, a animalistic snout, a dog-like animalistic snout, sharp teeth, huge bite force, huge strength, clawed hands, furry, able to see at night, hunters. To me, that sounds like what we know on this channel, what Victor called werewolf. That term werewolf, I think there should be a different terminology for them. I like the Neanderthal concept, but too many people, because of Hollywood, think werewolf is transformation. No. So I kind of don't like that whole name werewolf. Just like I don't like the name Dogman, like how many different types of dogs are there? Do you see a poodle-like Dogman running through the woods? We've seen hyena-like ones. We've seen coyote-like ones. We've seen wolf-like ones. Just like humans, Humans are very different from one another. Therefore, these things would be different from one another, right? I don't think there's a variation type 2B3 C, you sank my battleship. Just like, perfect example. A person I saw at the grocery store the other day was taller than me, darker complected than me, and had different hair than I did. Would that make me a variant of that, or make them a variant of me? No. So why does, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress. Anna Hayes' Guardian material suggests Neanderthals were a genetic combination of ape, human, and Anunnaki. They were a slave race created to mine gold for the Anunnaki. We've heard this. We've talked about this on this channel. I believe that the Bigfoot species was created by these creatures too, but I don't think the Bigfoot would be Neanderthal. Returning to the breeding program and formation of Anunnaki human hybrids some 900,000 years ago, they were successful and possessed greater intelligence than humans, but they lacked spirituality, giving rise to a strongly and exclusively materialistic society. These hybrids are the Nephilim, as noted above. Jeff, the pure Anunnaki, have also been called the Nephilim. So the fallen angels that bred with human women. As a result of this unwanted genetic contamination, the Elohim, more spiritually evolved beings, created gaps in their DNA to facilitate transplants to erase the destructive Anunnaki strain. These spaces, which we have inherited, have been termed the junk DNA by our scientists today. The gaps still contain all of the information, the cellular memories, and silicon matrix, but the units were disconnected. As important to understand that altering the genetic code doesn't require addressing each person individually. A daunting task. DNA codes are also formatted in the Earth's grid system and can therefore be reconfigured holistically and collectively at this level. The grid system is a form-retaining energy field. This interference by the Elohim greatly upset the Anunnaki on Sirius A, resulting in a 1,200-year war, during which most of the Anunnaki were relocated to Nibiru. From Nibiru, they visited Earth every 3,600 years, the period of their orbit around Sun. The planet was within our solar system. The planet is within our solar system and close enough to Earth for about 125 years, during which their technological compatibilities are sufficient to travel the distance in a spacecraft or using portal. Oh my God. So I say this all the time that, it's kind of far-fetched that they'd use spacecrafts because it takes so long from point A to point B, because it's like 100,000 light years from one side of our solar system to the other. So how the hell would a alien-like creature in a UFO fly that quick? It's just, they'd be jelly. But with the help of wormholes and portals, not just on Earth, but in space, and there's a reason why the Van Allen radiation belt is out there. There's a freaking reason. Nobody talks about that. It's just all contained here. All the information is contained here. Nobody thinks about out there. There's a reason for that. Did God put that there to keep us here and keep us safe? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. They apparently visit Earth as if it were a grand hotel. They have considered themselves our owners and have a particular fondness for Earth's energies, although they now regret the harsh and negative measures they used to manipulate us, giving rise to a corrupt society mirroring their own, like a child picking up the bad habits of their parents. Currently, they appear to be infiltrating our worlds and our governments. This can be handled astrally, but they have the ability to mask their reptilian appearances. The Anunnaki were clearly one of the types of gods in our mythology. Not God, no, going back to Greek and Roman gods, demons. They desired a harmonious relationship with human beings, but at the same time exercised negative control. Their rule over humankind was one that granted limited freedom, even going as far as to satanic suppression when necessary to keep humans in a subordinate role. According to the book, The Pleiadian Agenda, silica-based elements were used by the Anunnaki in their genetic experiments on humans, giving greater potential for mind control. As a side note, our silica-based technologies, for example, computers, will assist our 4D evolution. The Bible statement that we were made in the image of God does not refer to the image of the Anunnaki. The silica-based experiment apparently failed since we were designed for carbon base. A current attitude of the Anunnaki toward human, however, is much better, as with other negative inclined entities such as the Zetas, who are realizing the full role each is playing in infinitely. Humans of that time lacked a high level of mental development, but they were apparently much more in tune with their right brain hemisphere than they are today. That is, they were largely in harmony with nature, and their perceptions were more 4D, and heart chakra was more open. The interbreeding of these Nibiru, or the fallen angels, with human females, and resulting disharmony of the energies knocked the women into 3D. And the resonant aspect of language, sounds, and communication degraded into pure identification. Simple words merely representing objects individually, as in case today. So these creatures just looked at women as in objects, which is, disgusting. This led to a division of many languages, also a division among us. Thus, the incompatibility of electromagnetic energies in reproductive experiments caused a deterioration of the human race. The Anunnaki discovered uranium. Nuclear radiation infiltrated the emotional body of humans, causing the implantation of belief systems, a powerful tool for programming. So that's an interesting thing because, all right, I've talked about this, like World War II. Prior to World War II, World War I, we were like, yeah, we had guns. We had, propelled planes, but nothing like World War II. And it was such a small period of time. All of a sudden we have a bomb that can essentially just wipe a whole civilization off this planet. Ironically enough, during that period of time, there were treaties signed by Eisenhower, Truman, and others to get this power, this weapons, these jet propulsion engines. We went from propelled airplanes to jets in a matter of nothing in time. If you really think about it, nothing in time. Almost like our cell phones. We went from the year 2000, where very few people had a cell phone. Very few. And if you were, you were rich. To now, everyone has one. Everyone and anyone. 6-year-olds. Could this be a way? Is this a way of them controlling humanity? Is this another way of the draconian working with our government to control humanity? Yeah. Check this out. We'll brainwash the kids. We'll start with the adults. Oh, it's not working with them, but let's give them apps. Let's give them TikTok. It's pretty evident. I'm probably going to be wearing an aluminum foil hat, probably halfy on this, but, I don't care because this makes a lot of sense to me. All right. The Anunnaki were experts, or the fallen angels were experts in science and genetics, and took keen interest in splicing DNA of different species, including humans, creating human and animal mutations. The original intention was to genetically improve the human race. But the Nibirians became driven by curiosity in the extreme forms of creatures they could make. According to Hilarian's material, they soon lost sight of their own positive purpose of advancing the genetic stream of the human group and created human animal varieties of massive distortion of the human genetic map. Among the most notable and successful mutants or monsters they created were half animal, half humans, half horse, half human, known as centaur, half dog, half human, known as Dogman, or biblical chimera. Their experiments succeeded in altering the genetic codes of humans and animals, mixing them to produce a viable creature capable of reproduction. This is one that could not only survive but procreate of its kind. Now these creatures' forms were strong, swift, and they were spiritually chosen by a race of beings from another star system for incarnation purposes. They were from a highly advanced civilization that had evolved to higher realms, leaving behind a relatively small group, a few thousand, who had failed in this ascension process. Their numbers were too small to handle their complex civilization, and they volunteered for what is referred to as the Centaur experiment. Therefore, although they were stragglers from their advanced party, they were quite advanced in respect to humans and volunteered to incarnate this human animal form, particularly because chromatically they lacked a proper appreciation for their previous physical form and had neglected the body. Thus, the pan-kingdom of fauns evolved, existing in harmony and cooperation with the human race. Since then, however, man has fallen to the lower level through greed, selfishness, and ego development, resulting in a man's blindness to the pan-kingdom or any of the many other kingdoms on planet Earth. These beings can see us interpenetrate our worlds, but the increasing myopia of men prevents the recognition of presence of these life forms. In fact, we have degraded to a lower frequency band. The original reason for these creatures visiting Earth and their considerable interest was their need for a new genetic matrix, since Earth was a product approximately 500,000 years ago. The fallen angels began landing on Earth with repeated visits through 3,600 years. Around 3,500 years BC, they apparently founded the Sumerian civilization. Today, the Anunnaki are the main threat to humanity on this planet. Its goal is to receive the DNA code sequenced by blocking the temporal Earth gold matrix and hold 12-dimensional spectrum shape that corresponds with the 12th strand of DNA. Now, this is the hybrid of the draconian human hybrid, Draco, which in this information shared to us by David, they have infiltrated our government. They can cover up their reptilian form. We already know that. We see videos on it. People say that's AI. There were videos of these things, these sinister creatures changing form well before AI, well before CGI. You know, the royal family. You can't tell me though that they ain't lizards, man. The draconian human hybrid appearance, 6 to 7 feet tall, brown green scales, 4-fingered claws, webbed hands, snake faces, a mix between human and dragon, with a central ridge from the top of their head to their snout, eyes with vertical slits and golden irises. They can survive weeks on a large single meal. Higher ranking ones have wing-like appendages that are said to grow tall and are said to grow taller. Original reptilian or lizards, from where the lizard originated, taught them the sciences of life. The Dracos, although part human, part draconian, have chosen a path of separation from source, and in opposition of the law of one. Their goal is domination by force, with subsequent control and enslavement of the human race, in complete violation with the universal law of non-interference of free will. So what's that? Who's that talking about again? God. These fallen angels wanted to interfere in what God gave us. Was one, he created us in his likeness, and two, he gave us free will. And these very disgusting creatures wanted to take our free will from us, so we would be subservient, yes man creature, like it doesn't get any much more real than this. Okay. According to Anna Hayes' material, we can trace the Draco's lineage back to the Seraphim, who separated from the Seraphim, who separated from the Seraphim. From this Seraphim ancestry, both the avian and reptilian lines developed, and this too made its own special contribution to the human DNA. Now, MJ12, the secret government group that has formed alliances with extraterrestrials, was formed while Truman was in power and before the presidents knew about the alien situation after MJ12 formation. However, leaders were given information on a need-to-know basis, limited and often containing erroneous material. Greys, increasingly known as Zetas, meaning the small aliens with large heads, highly segregated race, and a negative offshoot of the original Zetas. They work under the Dracos. The Greys, a small population of Zetas, are in the servants of draconian or Draco. The hybrid, which are Draco Zeta, are particularly under Draco control. As mentioned above, snake symbolism and its connection to ancient gods, not real gods, and reptilian imagery of ancient cultures are present throughout the world. Reverend John Bathurst Dean wrote that symbolic snake worship is so common in Greece that Justin Martyr accused the Greeks of introducing it into the mysteries of all of their gods. Also consider Chinese interests, fear of and respect of dragon. About 52,000 years ago, the Dracos were secretly allowed to return to Earth. They began, however, to infiltrate Lemuria and build a extensive network of burrows and tunnel systems between Lemuria and Atlantis. So Lemuria is technically where Mount Shasta would be. So after going through that email with him, so when he and I talked, he said, check your email. Boom. There was the information that I just shared with you. And we went over it while we talked. He said, share this with your audience. This is what I received prior to being granted my laicization, while I was a Roman Catholic priest, this information that I just shared, I obtained. You will not find this. Like, this is not something that is openly discussed. The information now that I'm going to share with you is information while on my quest through life to do mission work. Spread the word of Jesus, spread the word of God, but also help people in impoverished areas or people who fight drug addiction, alcoholism, any other kind of addiction. Get out from underneath that. People who don't have water, people who don't have roofs, obtain that. Throughout that period of time now, here are some books and information that I have learned, and I want you to have this information to help you on your quest. Share with the audience. The book Voyagers, Volume 2, covers the topic in some detail. It explains the true information about the nature and significance of the Ark. This is the Ark of Covenant, or Noah's Ark, which has been withheld from humankind for so long. The Ark of the Covenant was not a chest containing a rod and staff, although there were powers associated with a rod and staff, nor was it a Anunnaki possessing even greater powers. The Ark is an energy device that involves such much more multidimensional concepts. The Ark was created 840,000 years ago, originally called the Ark of the Paladorian Covenant, an agreement between the Paladorians consisting of several races to aid humankind. It bridges the Amenti Sphere portal in the Andromeda galaxy and the Earth's core to the Great Pyramid to enable the third seeding of the human race. Originally, the pyramid was intended as a harmonic renaissance chamber to draw in multidimensional energies from deep space and Sirius B, utilizing the Anka as a cornerstone. Can't believe I'm pronouncing it wrong. The Ankh as a cornerstone, with additional purposes of strengthening the Ark of the Covenant portal and serving as an interdimensional teleportation center. It is located in the Earth's heart chakra. Apparently, Noah's Ark was not a boat. It refers to the Ark of the Covenant in the Great Pyramid. And the description of the Bible refers to a passage leading to the Ark. Noah protected himself from the great flood at the center of the earth through the pyramid. This understanding of the Ark is revealed in Howard Middleton Jones' book and James Wilkie's book, Genesis of Giza. So, to safeguard it, the portal connecting to the Ark was moved to Egypt. According to UFO researchers and other channelings, Earth's population are apparently manipulated from underground Draco Zeta complexes, deep underground facilities. Therefore, the human genetic traits obtained from the Draco human hybrid agenda enabled them to infiltrate human society undetected, to use human bodies, either directly or indirectly. David Icke's book, The Big Secret, covers this background. In 83 to present, Draco Zeta Resistance has been creating human hybrids and clones for its own nefarious purposes. They are returned, but when those humans grow up, they are unaware of their ET association and can be subliminally targeted by the Draco Zeta resistance through DNA and neurological structures. We can add that the Guardian Alliance also kidnaps these people in turn to deactivate these genetic codes and return them to normal. Now the alliance between the Draco and Zeta is one without loyalty. It is not based on harmonious cooperation, simply one exploited for its own selfish needs. As the Guardians foresaw, This proved to be added danger to Earth. The draconian Zeta primary objective is to create a frequency fence on the planet in combination of infiltration system. Frequency fence would interfere with plans of Earth's ascension into new dimensions and the necessary DNA changes. This frequency fence is related to the alien government experiments, including the Philadelphia experiment. Montauk, baby. Huh. I mean, the drastic problem became evident to the Guardians in '84 as they tracked this outcome and by examining future probabilities. So this is all books. David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret. Jump on Howard Middleton Jones's book and James Wilkie's book, Genesis of Giza. B. Mark Sinelik channeled book tells us of 10 of DNA strains. Alex Collier's material on Andromedas, and so those are the books that he wanted me to check out and you guys to check out too. So pretty much check out David Icke's the book The Biggest Secret, and these are underlined. He wanted these underlined. Voyagers Volume 2, and Genesis of Giza. Voyagers Volume 2, The Secrets of Amenti, is written by a person named Ashana Yadin. Talks about the biblical revelation. Wow, listen to this. This is just a little bit of what. On September 12th, 2000, a global event of paramount significance occurred within the covert infrastructure of the New Age, UFO, and Illuminati movement. On September 11th, 2001, in preparation for the first anniversary of September 12, 2000 event, a trigger event of the WTC World Trade Center / Pentagon terrorism attack was launched as a first step in the intended 2011 fulfillment of the hidden global agenda that reaches far backward in time. Earth is poised at a cusp of the great New Age, long-predicted Hopi prophecy, Mayan calendar, and biblical revelation. Humanity will now determine whether the New Age is destined to become a free age of genuine enlightenment or now a dark age of one world order domination. This book talks about Atlantis, Lemuria, Nibiru, the Ark of the Covenant, Harp, Montauk, the Wingmaker site, holy shit, Philadelphia experiment, covert UFO cover-up, infrasound, pulse testing. Yeah, I'll be getting this book. So, 4 books. Later today, I will talk to David, and he will share his Dogman experience where he witnessed 3 dogmen in the state of Washington while working with the impoverished in a area on the Stillaguamish River in Washington. So he didn't share it with me at all. We didn't talk about it. So it's going to be new to me. It'll be new to you. Once again, this is just information that was shared with me that I'm sharing with you. I only know a few things. Jesus is king. Jesus will save my sin, save me from my own sins, and he loves me. God created me. That's all I know. I don't know this. This was just shared, so don't take this as my words to you. I'm just sharing what was shared with me. It makes a heck of a lot of sense, though. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is your support, after all, that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories, judgment-free. Simply treat those with just, oh my God, this information has got me screwed up. This is real. These events have happened, guys. Like, all of these. So share this information. Like, just, I can't even think after going through this again. You know, all I can say is we have to take care of each other. We have to look out for each other. Because these things, these creatures, they are biblical demons. And they are here to hurt us and infiltrate our government. So share this information with those you love and care about, because it may just save their lives and our own someday. And until next time, God bless you all. God bless you all. That's all I can say. Wow, wow. Thanks, guys.